good. Sorry guys, just getting myself good here. Okay, I think got you guys down here too. I think we're live. Let me just turn my thing so I can see. There we go. You guys hopefully can hear me okay. If someone just gives me a nod or something in the chat to tell me that you can hear me all right. I'm hoping that you can. And we'll get going in just a second here. We got a few of you guys straight in, which is nice. I think three guys in straight away. Sounds good. Jim, thank you. Bart, thank you. Appreciate that. So how are we doing? Well, what I thought we would do is just kind of chat really. I don't know how many people will get in here kind of live whilst I'm going, which is cool. It might be that we kind of answer a few questions and stuff. Otherwise we'll just see who joins in. And this this live stream goes live as a video after it's finished as well. So if you guys aren't here for the whole time, or anybody who missed it altogether and now you're watching it on a video, it's okay. You still get to join in the fun. Quite a few people coming in, which is nice. How we doing? What we got? Jim, Bart, how we doing? Dave, Henry, Michaela, is that? Michaela? Cliff, 3 viewers, you've fallen off. Thanks, Cliff. Appreciate that. Yeah. You know, we've been doing really well lately, actually, on the channel. It's been really cool to see. We've had lots of, loads of views. The video, so the most no, is it the most recent video? No, you guys have had the Plug Street Memorial video since then, but the Trench of Death, the Dodengang video, has gone crazy. It's done like 100,000 views already, which is awesome. Really good. Really pleased with that. Which I hoped it would, because that whole series of videos kind of up through like Newport down through some of the Belgian sector, I was nervous about how all that would go, like whether that would be something that people weren't so interested in, and maybe my channel and my views would fall off a cliff. But people seemed really interested in all that, which is really good, because I've always loved some of those topics which aren't as obvious around the Great War, especially. I did that whole series down at Luz, the Battle of Luz, and all this Newport series deliberately for that reason, because I wanted to do some stuff outside of just the Somme and Ypres, and which is still somewhat, but the Somme is still probably my favorite place, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having those common places as some of your favorite ones. Yeah, so look, so Ricky and Henry have jumped in with exactly why we're here. Happy VE Day. Happy Victory in Europe Day, or should I call it We Are the Bravest Day for my American followers. I'm only joking. Don't get mad at me. I'm only joking. I'm sure you guys know what I'm referring to there with some of the stuff that was said over the last couple of weeks. So look, Happy VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. It doesn't mean that this was the end of the the end of the war. There was still fighting going on in other parts of the world, and especially for my American friends, still very much engaged in the Pacific during that time. But you have kind of VE Day and VJ Day, which are the two differences: Victory in Europe and Victory in Japan. But Victory in Europe Day today, which was which was cool, right? I know lots of different countries. In fact, you guys from other European countries, tell me in the comments what you did. But in the UK, there was a 2-minute silence at midday, in remembrance of all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice during the war. And obviously who gave their lives so that we could enjoy the freedom, not in all parts of the world, right, but the freedom that we certainly do in Europe today. So that was today, and it was nice. I was actually doing some work and observed the 2-minute silence, which was great. We had it on BBC TV over here, so you can see kind of some of the remembrance ceremonies and stuff. But I know there were things all around Europe. I saw ceremonies going on in various parts of France, and and all around Europe. So that was cool. you guys who are in other European countries, tell me, did you guys, I don't know, I mean, do you guys do the exact same? Was it like a 12 midday 2 minute silence? Possibly, I don't know, but you have to let me know. Celebrate. You went to a celebration on Monday, Henry. Nice, cool. That sounds good. Bart, end of the line content. Yeah, man, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That end of the line content was something which I'd always been interested. So one of the things which was a little bit unique for that series is that was literally me going there for the first time. So what I try to do with a lot of these videos is try to kind of almost sort of create a tone or a story of come with me for the first time to explore that place. So it's just like, you or I or anyone else would when you go to those places for the first time. And of course, some of the places which I go to, it isn't actually the first time I've been, and I don't lie, I don't claim it is in the video, but some of the times it's not the first time I've been there. Whereas all of those areas around Newport, through from there, Ramskapelle, Dodengang, Trench of Death, they were all places that I had not been to before. So those videos were me seeing those places for the first time and exploring them, which I really enjoyed. And hopefully that came across a bit in the video, I enjoy that because it makes it a bit authentic. My Lose series was all filmed on my first time exploring much of the Lose battlefields. I'd been to some of it before, but most of that was my first time exploring that site, and that's why I tried to do it like that for the Newport series, and really enjoyed it. It's such a fascinating place, and one of those places where if you've got limited time exploring the Western Front, you might not be able to get to somewhere like that, right? Because of course, you're going to want to prioritize your time around places like Ypres and the Somme, and that's okay. But to be able to have the time to go to some of those other places is really interesting, and I really enjoyed that. Let me just catch up here. What do we got? Ricky, you're a kitchen assistant to work today at a V-Day theme menu. Nice, a residence, a retirement home. Oh, nice, man. That's really cool, Ricky. That's good. But Netherlands had Memorial Day on the 4th. Yes, of course you did. And Liberation Day on the 5th. V-Day isn't really a thing. No, yes, slightly different for you guys, of course, because you do have your Liberation Day on the 5th. So I suppose that kind of is, I guess that kind of is in itself the victory, right? So no, I get that. During World War II, Hitler visited bunkers where he served. Yes, he did. Yeah. So, so funnily enough, the video that went live on my channel about half an hour before this live stream was to do with some of the places where Hitler fought during the Great War. And spoiler alert, some of you guys won't have watched that video yet, but there are bunkers in that video which are in the area where he fought, but the bunkers weren't there when he was there. So he was there in late 1914, early 1915. And those bunkers were built, I think, in 1916. So he wouldn't have been there. But those trenches, he did visit those trenches at the start of the Second World War. So after the Third Reich had conquered France, he went and visited places like he visited Ypres and a couple of sites around there, and Langemark Cemetery, and then he visited those trenches at Buyenwald. Or Krunart Wood, depending on Krunart Wood is what the British called it. Buyenwald or Bavarian Wood is what the Germans called it. So that's probably what you're talking about there. The Barren Flights, I like that. Appreciate YouTube channel, Mike. Thank you very much. Sunken Lane at Hawthorne Ridge, the Russian sap. Yeah, I know. So so funny enough, I've got another video planned from that area in I'm going to be filming it in June when I'm back on the Somme, and we're going to do a bit of a video that's kind of in the footsteps of Geoffrey Malins, who filmed that famous footage around the Sunken Lane area on the first day of the Somme. And we will talk then about the tunnel that he went through, the Russian sap, that I think is what you're referring to. The idea is basically it was a tunnel But the idea of it was a tunnel that was fairly close to the surface, so that you could dig the tunnel and you could use it without being seen by the enemy. But then once you'd moved forward and captured that ground further forwards, which of course is what they genuinely believed they were going to do on the first day of the Somme, you could then kind of cave in the top of that tunnel and you've got a ready-made trench or a sap. And I'm assuming that's what you're referring to, Baron, is the tunnel that went out into Sunken Lane, which we definitely will talk about, because Geoffrey Maylands used that on the first day of the Somme early in the morning, and we're going to be talking about some of that in that video that I'm going to film in June. Was he in active combat, Henry? So yeah, he was a runner, but certainly in the earlier part of his time as a runner, he would have been delivering messages to and from the front lines. So yeah, he was still, you know, there's a narrative very often used where you know, they kind of say that Hitler's service in World War I was entirely embellished, and he used it as a big propaganda tool, and actually he was nowhere near combat. And yeah, look, there's a lot of truth in that. He definitely embellished his involvement in the First World War and used it for propaganda. But at the same time, he certainly was in very dangerous areas. He was a runner to and from the front line, which means he would have been under fire. He would have been in dangerous areas, and I'm sure he would have had to do things which would have involved him being a bit brave along the way. You know, I don't think saying that means that you're like a big fan of Hitler, which obviously certainly I am not, and the things that he went on to do were horrific in so many ways. But nonetheless, he still was a soldier who served in the Great War. My latest video went live on the channel at 9:30 tonight, so about 40 minutes ago. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, strongly recommend go and watch it straight after this live stream, because that should be good. Where are we up to? Loafer Sheffield, paternal grandfather survived World War One. Dad did national service in the mid-50s. Wow. Any book recommendations? Ernest Younger's Storm of Steel. Yeah, really good. I'll tell you a book which I have got ordered. It's not arrived yet, but one which I've so many times I've wanted to read it and meant to get hold of it, but just never have, is a book called The Somme Mud, which I've got ordered and is on the way. What else would I recommend? So I mean, World War One books, there's some of the big ones, like The First Day of the Somme, Martin Middlebrook is a good one. It's an older book, so be mindful of that, but that's quite a good one I enjoyed. Some of my favourite books, it's funny, because a lot of my interest is the Great War, and of course I've done World War II videos, but some of my favourite, like, military books are actually some of the World War II books, with the old breed, written by Eugene Sledge, is probably my favourite historical military book. I really enjoyed that. And Michaela, in Spain, you don't really celebrate, but you, as a World War II fanatic, you pay your respects, wear a poppy. Oh, but look, good on you, absolutely. Do I think it's true that Hitler may have been spared by a British private in World War I? Well, funnily enough, I talk about that in the video that went live earlier on, so I won't spoil it for you, Clay. Well, I might spoil it a bit with the answer, because I suppose, look, here's my thoughts on that, right? I think Hitler would have looked very different at the time during the Great War. And remember, at the time of the Great War, nobody would have had any idea who he was or who he was going to become. So I think your typical British soldier on the Western Front would have faced a lot of German soldiers. And in World War II, when Hitler became more notorious, for him to think, you know what, I recognize that guy, this happened 20 years ago, I struggle to believe it. And other reasons too, but I won't go into that. You can watch the video. Motorhead, Sabaton's 1916 makes Loafer sad. Yeah, you know what, some of my friends are big into Sabaton. I certainly enjoy it. I'm not against Sabaton music. I find it decent, but I've never really been like a big listener of it. Speaking of one of my friends who likes Sabaton, History War Cinema, that's Marcel, is in the chat. Marcel is in Gettysburg, as he says right there, greetings from Gettysburg. So the Gettysburg Film Festival is on this weekend. Some of you might know a little bit about that, and he is out there. There's quite a few history YouTube people out there. I know JD from the History Underground, Chris from Vlogging Through History, they're both part of it. They're doing a lot of stuff. And Marcel, History War Cinema, is out there as well. A European exploring the Gettysburg battlefield, something which I'm very jealous of. I would love to go and do that at some point. That'd be really, really cool. Baron Fries, Jeffrey Malins, yeah, I figured that's what you were talking about. Dave Grundy, great uncles on the wall of Arras. Wow, okay, yeah. So that's the memorial to the missing at Arras. I assume you mean. I'll have to get a video over there at some point. Loafer, yeah, no worries. Lived 30 years near Pastown. Oh wow, that's really cool. Kirby's, I'm guessing that is. You've lived near Passendale 30 years. Wow, man. Yeah, look, I mean, so much history around around where you live, right? I love just walking around that area. Sunder VK History, thank you, man. Hello. 15,000 subs. Yeah, so we passed 15,000 subscriptions on this channel. I think about 3-4 days ago. I actually missed it. It was the next day I realized it had happened. But that was really cool. Really cool. Awesome. Really kind of proud of how the channel's grown like that. Really good. Henry, will I ever do more videos with the History Underground? Well, yeah. Would you know that I'm somebody who could be recognised from a History Underground video? Yeah. So look, I've done a couple of videos with JD, or I say I've made kind of cameo appearances in a couple of videos of JD's. I can't ever say I've been the feature person in one of his videos, quite rightly, compared to some of the other people that he gets in there. But certainly, I'd like to. Yeah, you know, look, I love what JD does, and any chance I get to be involved in some of it or be in another History Underground video, yeah, 100%, I'll be all over that opportunity. I like JD, become a friend of mine through YouTube, which is cool. I've met some really great people through YouTube, and I'm sure at some point I will manage to sneak my way into the background of another History Underground video. History. There you go. Marcel just said exactly what I said. as well known as the guy from the History Underground. There you go. I might have to tell that story at some point. Michaela, in 1 month you're visiting the Somme. Oh wow, awesome. Oh man, I'm so excited for you. Your first time going there is really cool. And I can see Marcel's giving you the suggestion of Sheffield Memorial Park. Yeah, absolutely. Not to big up my own video, but I've got a video that I titled "One Day or the Somme in a Day." I think is the title of my video. Go and look at that, because in that video, I basically touch on what I think are all the like must-see spots. So that hopefully will be a good video for you. I've done the Somme in 2 days. I don't know how long you're going for, but check out either one of those videos, because hopefully that will help. Baron Flights, yeah, Loch Nagar. So yeah, so I do have a video at Loch Nagar crater. It wasn't the most thorough video because I was just kind of there on the off chance. I was there with some of the other history YouTube guys, some of these guys in the chat here, and we did a little video. Chris from Vlogging Through History's in it and talks a little bit about one on there. But definitely I will go back there and do a more thorough video. I want to do a video that is about the tunnelers, and I might do that video there at Loch Nagar crater and talk about some of the tunneling that went on there. I'm torn as to whether or not I do a video on tunneling about one place and really focus on it, like talk all about the tunneling specifically at somewhere like Loch Nagar or Hill 60 or somewhere else, Hawthorne Ridge maybe, or whether to do like a general tunneling video and film it in lots of those different places, or maybe we make a video from each one. Who knows? But yeah, definitely there'll be something else at Loch Nagar soon enough. Memorial Park, Loafer, yeah, Accrington Pals monument is there, absolutely, yeah, made of Accrington bricks, yeah, really good. Oh, you ordered the book? Which one did you order, Loafer? Is that the Somme Mud you ordered, or do you mean like the with the Old Breed book? Yeah, History War. I don't want to spoil any of the detail, but I know Marcel at History War Cinema is going to have such an interesting video at Sheffield Memorial Park at the Somme. I won't say anything more than that because I certainly don't want to steal his thunder, but that's going to be a really good video. When I say we, I'm hoping, because I'm hoping I can get there with him and see him make some of it, because it's going to be really cool. The Somme Mud Book, yeah, awesome. 361 paid back. Funny enough, I think I might have also paid something like that, 361. Maybe we got it from the same supplier. Michaela, no worries. Yeah, Sheffield Memorial Park's a good one on the Somme. Newfoundland Memorial Park, or Newfoundland Memorial Park, I should say, is how it's kind of pronounced. That's really interesting. Sunken Lane, Hawthorne Ridge, some of those big cemeteries at kind of Sayre Road. Those are some of the big spots. Thiepval Memorial, or Thiepval Memorial, depending on how you want to say it. Baron Flight's grandfather and 3 great uncles served. Wow, in Coventry newspapers. Wow, man, cool. Yeah, both my great granddads served in the Great War. So kind of the age I am, my generations, my grandparents were in the Second World War. So my granddad was in the Navy. I've got a great uncle who lost his life in the Navy in World War II as well. He was on a ship that was sunk just off the coast of Norway. It was sunk in a German U-boat attack, and he's named on the memorial to the missing at Chatham, the Chatham Naval Memorial. And then my granddad was in the Navy. I've got a great uncle who, so this one is really cool. So a great uncle who served in the RAF, and he was in the 630 Squadron, which was based at East Kirkby, flying a Lancaster. He was a flight engineer in a Lancaster crew. And we kind of looked into it in a bit more detail through the course of this year, and I've never been up to East Kirkby. They have a Lancaster there, Just Jane. It doesn't fly, but they bring it out and taxi it and stuff, and they've got a little museum there, and it actually turns out that some of his items are in the museum there. So we're going to be going up there really soon. Going to be making a video all about that. That'd be really great. That's my my great uncle. And then I've got 2 great grandfathers who served in the Great War. Both of whom who survived. One of them was with the 19th King Liverpools, and then came home for a while, and then he went back out with the Monmouthshire Regiment, and he survived the war. And then my other great grandfather was in the Royal Field Artillery, 35th Brigade of the Royal Field Artillery. Been looking into that actually just in the last week, a bit more detail. Paul Reed, if you don't know Paul Reed, he does the Old Frontline podcast. He has a YouTube channel as well. I mean, look, if you're into the Great War, my goodness, that should be your first point of call before you start watching my videos. He's fantastic, and he helped me out with a little bit of information, and I've managed to pinpoint pretty much the exact spot where the 35th Brigade were on the first day of the Somme, or at least the week leading up to the first day of the Somme. He was part of the team that was putting artillery fire down on Mametz. Mametz is down south. That's where the Devonshire Cemetery is. Danzig Alley, Captain Charlie May, 22nd Manchesters. That's that area down there. So I'm going to head out there and go and try and stand on that same spot soon enough. Josh, welcome. Happy VE Day. Thank you, man. And my appearances on the History Underground. There you go. Paul, your Somme videos. Cool, thank you, man. You'd love to attack about the Royal Berkshires. Okay, cool. Attacking from Carnoy, yeah. Casino Point Mine adds interesting dimension. Yeah, okay, yeah, but I'd love to do a video down there. A lot of the kind of regiments close to my heart were down in that area. So the Surrey regiments, the Queens, the Royal West Surreys, and the East Surreys, they were both down in that same area. The East Surreys, Billy Neville to kick the football across no man's land, that was down there with the East Surreys. In that same kind of area, attacking towards Montauban. So I definitely want to get back down there and film some more videos at some point. Marcel, History War Cinema, you can say it. Okay, cool. So yeah, so Marcel at the History War Cinema has got the medals and some other personal artifacts from one of the Accrington pals, a captain from the maybe a captain later, was it Marcel? I think he was a lieutenant maybe at the time of the attack at the Somme. And he's got some really, I'm definitely not going to say what it is, and I can see in his comment he said one cool artifact which will remain a secret, but he's got some really cool stuff that he's going to take back to that site and make a video telling the story. And I would imagine a very good chance that that artifact that Marcel is talking about, probably a good chance that it will be the first time that that artifact has been back there since he had it there himself at the time during the Great War. Yeah, I can see down the bottom of the comments, Marcel's just saying, yeah, he was a captain later. He was a lieutenant during the attack on Serre. Yeah, cool. Henry, your great uncle was on Sword Beach with Lord Love. Okay, cool. Lord Lover. Yeah, awesome, man. Nice. Paul, your great uncle died passing the Casino Point mine. Wow. Greetings from Belgium. Hey, man. Omar, you like, thank you, and I appreciate you following it. Thank you very much. Clay, it's his diary. You're going to get lots of guesses, Marcel, now on what your artifact is. I'm not going to say if it's a diary or not. We definitely got to save some interest for when that video comes. Ricky, it's a shame you've got no idea what your great granddad did during the World War One. Okay, you can do some research. See what the Wimborne Regiment did during the Great War. Okay. I'm not going to so I'm not going to pretend, right? Obviously I know more than the average person about the Great War, and I know a lot about certain topics, but I won't claim to be the expert on everything. And I don't think I could tell you with any real certainty kind of what the sort of Wimborne Regiment were directly involved in. Certainly. No, I don't even want to say it because I think I might be wrong. So it'd be interesting for you to research that. Yeah, look, great places to start research. Places like Ancestry, those kind of family research sites. Those are a great place to start, right? Go on there, search the names and stuff, and you can hopefully start to find some interesting stuff. It's a long journey researching family members. I went from just knowing a name and some basic information. I've managed to find a lot by really getting into it. Wow, Brian, you got 60 books for the Great War. Wow. Your father served in East Africa. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's with the Italians, or sorry, fighting against the Italians. You don't understand that conflict. Okay. I mean, probably can't explain that entire conflict in an answer, but yeah, ultimately, kind of, so a lot of East Africa or North Africa was kind of the front where the British faced again, not just the Italians, but certainly kind of part of the campaign against the Italians was down in that part of the world. If you've seen SAS Rogue Heroes, they talk a little bit more about some of that. SAS Rogue Heroes should not be used as a reference for historical accuracy, but certainly some of the key themes of what it's about are true and correct. So watch that. That might start to give you a bit of a basic understanding. Josh, greetings from Washington State. Greetings, man. Thank you for joining. Loafer, quiz question. Oh, love a quiz question. Who was the only serving British serviceman to have a confirmed kill with a longbow? Oh, okay. Yeah, man, I know that story. I couldn't tell you the name though, for the life of me. I couldn't tell you the name. But so I did a series at Sword Beach, and I thought about trying to do something with this, but I didn't. I didn't really manage to get enough information to turn it into a video. Mrs. Sambles, the Scottish guy with bow and sword. There you go. That answers that. I've got all my great uncles. Or great uncle, is that, I'm guessing, letters home. Wow. Yeah, so there were a lot of war records that were destroyed during the Blitz, during World War II. Yeah. So I've got the service record of my great grandfather, the one who I said was in the 19th King Liverpools, and then uh, oh yeah, Mad Jack Churchill, man, yeah, of course, Loafer. So that's why I'm stumbling through answering this next question, because I was thinking of that. There you go. You got your, so Paul, sorry. Yeah, so my great granddad's service record, I've got scans of it, and the edges, some of the edges on some of the pages are like burnt up from that same thing. So yeah, unfortunately there were a load of records that were lost during the Blitz and during World War II. God, I'm going to take a sip of my squash, my cordial. I've been talking too long. BL, did you visit the German bunker in Isle of Man? No, I've never been to the Isle of Man. I would love to, though. Definitely want to get out there at some point. Definitely want to get out there at some point. So what's right? So what we're going to talk about also a little bit is what I've got coming up. So what can you guys expect, like, from the next kind of 3 months, 6 months, or even maybe this year on the channel? So I've got some content already filmed. We've got some content which I made in the earlier part of the year. I actually went with my wife and Mrs. Sambles. We went out to Ypres, and I filmed some content out there. So I've got a few videos coming from around there, some really cool sites. We've got Sanctuary Wood Museum and the trenches they've got there, which is really interesting. I'm looking forward to sharing that video, and a few other spots as well, which will be really good. And then I'm going to be at the site. I might be in the Somme 3 times this year potentially, because I'm actually now, as of like 2 days ago, I'm now going twice in June. Next month I'll be out in the Somme twice. I'm going once with my dad. We're going out there for a day to have a look at a few bits, and then I'm going out there for a few days with a group of guys later on in the month as well. And then I might be going out there with a different group of guys later on, maybe kind of September time, something like that. So that would be really cool. And so we'll get some content along the way out there. What else have we got going on? So I'm also going to be filming a bit more content around the UK and around actually not far from me, because I live not far from the Brookwood Cemetery. And there's an awful lot that you can do filming historic videos around the Brookwood Cemetery. There's so much going on there. We've got 14 Victoria Cross recipients are either buried or remembered there at the cemetery. We've got some real sort of famous military graves over there. They've got the RAF Memorial, which is where, so during World War II, when they weren't able to do the last post ceremony at the Menin Gate, instead it was done here in Surrey at the Brookwood Cemetery, and it was done outside the RAF Memorial. So that's over in Brookwood as well as the British Cemetery at Brookwood. There's also an American cemetery there. There's cemeteries, or at least plots, related to pretty much every nation during World War II. There's a French plot, a Belgian plot, there's a Polish plot. I'm going to feel bad here because I'm going to miss some countries which have got some really interesting plots over there. There's an Italian one, but it's a fascinating place, and I'll definitely be doing those. A couple of videos too. So I did the video which was really well received over in a place called Bourne Woods, which is where they filmed the Currahee episode, or the Currahee scenes in Band of Brothers. So, when it depicted them running up Currahee, that was filmed in Bourne Woods, and I went there and I told that story. Not so much a history video, I guess almost more of like a film and TV video, but related to history, and that was really popular. So there's other sites around the UK where lots of different Band of Brothers things were filmed. Some of the sites where the battles outside Carentan, which was the Battle of Bloody Gulch, that episode that kind of really followed Albert Blythe. I know where all of that was filmed, and so I'm going to go do some more videos like that, some Band of Brothers videos. over the course of the next few months. I don't know when you'll see them on the channel. It just depends on how some of the content lands. Got a few other bits as well, a couple of the like Masters of the Air bits. I've got some interviews recorded with Masters of the Air actors. Those will appear on the channel at some point as well. And some other just kind of generally some cool bits. Jim, are you going to Normandy for D-Day this year? But no, I don't think I am, is the honest answer. I would have really liked to, but because I'm going to France already twice in June, I don't think I'll be able to get there. I'm going to be in France like literally 2 days before that, but I won't actually be at Normandy for D-Day this year. No, I really want to do that soon though, so maybe next year I might try and plan something around that. I'm hopefully going to Normandy later this year with some family and also to film some videos, but I might potentially, I might try to be out there for D-Day next year, but I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. All of your great uncles died at the Somme. Wow. Even 100 years later, the family mostly are women. Wow, okay. Waiting on the dates. Yeah, Marcel's waiting on me to try and work out dates about the Somme. So, yeah. Don't put me in the band videos. Band of Brothers was a proper American propaganda script. I mean, it was about an American unit, right? So, yeah, look, of course it's going to be about them. Half things British soldiers wasn't recorded. Yeah, well, look, look, man, I get what you're saying. Look, I've got nothing but positive really to say about Band of Brothers. I think it was a fantastic series. Thousands of people have got into history because of that TV series. And so I don't really have anything bad to say about it, to be totally honest with you. I loved it. I'm not saying anything bad about your opinion on it, man. That's totally fine. Look, and sometimes those kind of shows do make a bit of fun about British involvement, right? Masters of the Air and the British pilots. Yeah, look, it was silly, but it was just that. It was silly, right? We've got plenty of things in British TV and film that might make little jests about Americans here and there, and I think that's okay too. They turned up late. Loafer, similarly, same Private Ryan. Yeah, okay, yeah, look, it's the same, right? Exactly the same. I would say exactly the same thing. I think Saving Private Ryan as well. Think about the amount of people that have gained an interest in Normandy and D-Day and Omaha Beach because of Saving Private Ryan. Loads. And that can't be a bad thing, right? Look, I mean, I've always been into history, but Band of Brothers certainly got me massively interested into history. The first time I went to Bastogne, I went there because of Band of Brothers. I wanted to go and see it, and that's all right. That's how so many people get into history, and I think that's really cool. Right, we're going for a while here. What, nearly 40 minutes? So we'll probably do like another sort of 10 minutes, guys, and then we'll see how we go. If anyone's got any pressing questions they want to ask, please get it into the comments soon, because I don't want to miss something. There's a good chance I have missed something because some of the comments have kind of whizzed past my my screen as we've gone. I'm guessing I might have this like, have I got anything filtered here? No, I don't think so. But I don't want to miss any comments either, or miss any questions. So yeah, look, let me just quickly talk back about that series up at the coast, up at Newport. I got one of the questions I got asked a lot about in the comments for that video was what happened at the other end of the Western Front. So what happened down on the southern or eastern end, however you want to look at it. I've never been there, but I would love to get there, and I want to make a video about it when I do, or maybe even a couple of videos down there, probably like I did with the Newport one. I'll probably try and do a whole series of videos about it. So basically the Western Front ran into the Swiss border. That's pretty much what happened. And both sides of the line there, of course, the French, as it was primarily on the Allied side of that line, and the Germans on the other side, were basically either side of that line up to the Swiss border. And then the Swiss had troops along their border, along the edge. They weren't involved, they weren't fighting either side, but that really was just to kind of stop anybody sort of breaching the border between the the countries or anything like that. So pretty much that's a real summary of what happened. You can go there. I believe there's a couple of bunkers down there still that you can go and visit, and it's a really interesting place to go. Baron, reference Albert. My great uncle describes a gravel pit that was shelled. A munition dump store next to Crucifix Corner. Okay. Oh, you visited there. Wow, nice. Officers' quarters there. Okay, cool. All right. 3 of 4 brothers died on the Somme. McFadden brothers. McFadden brothers. So there's the Hobbs brothers, where 3 out of 4 of them were killed on the Somme, just near Thiepval. So that might be what you're thinking of. McFadden. I can't. There's God, I can't think of his name. There's a guy who was a VC recipient who he was in the 36 Ulster Division. I can't think of his name though. He might have had a surname like that. Joe, any videos planned on the Christmas truce? Yeah. So funny enough, so I filmed a bit of so basically in January I was out in Ypres. Well, I was out in Liège, and then I was back through Ypres, and I intended on trying to film a video about the Christmas truce, because it was winter time, that I would then have ready for this next Christmas that I could get up. But I had some issues filming it, and it was pouring with rain and everything else. So what I'm probably going to do is when we get nearer to this next Christmas, I'll find a day when I can go over to that area. It's not far, it's just on the other side of the channel. And I will film a video, maybe even a couple of videos about that. And perhaps I can launch them over the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, something like that. Yes, how sport impacted soldiers. Yeah, because they've got so anyone who doesn't know the site, when you go to the kind of Christmas Truce Memorial, there's a couple of Christmas Truce Memorials, but one that's heavily visited, they've got the football memorial there as well. And of course, that's about, the fact that there were stories of men playing football together during the truces out in no man's land. Now, funnily enough, I know from the different people, there's different opinions on this, but I know Paul Reed certainly has said that he doesn't believe, or there's no evidence to suggest that football was played in that area where the football memorial is. But I've seen other people who've been quite sort of strong that Bruce Bairn's father recounted football. So I because I haven't made the video yet, I've not deep dived the research on it, which I will. Clay, why didn't they pull back from the Ypres salient, a better defensive line when you weren't surrounded? Yeah. So I've heard this question asked a few times, and look, I think several reasons, right? I think first of all, if the Allies had given up Ypres or Ypres, that would have put the Germans very close to the British Channel and to that coastal part. I mean, they were already up on the coast just to the north of there anyway, but that would have been that would have really pushed them close in, and really that was only that final corner of Belgium that was remaining. And that's the other part, right? Is I think at that point of the war, by the time that first Battle of Ypres is kind of finished, I guess is the word, in sort of autumn, late 1914, and then into that point in 1915 when the second Battle of Ypres, and it kind of grows from there. But by that stage, thousands and millions of men had fought and died over every inch of land surrounding Ypres. And at that point, at what point do you say that land and that final corner of Belgium is not worth it anymore? And what kind of motivational message would that have given to the men who were there and who had fought so hard, to then say, you know what, actually, you guys have been there and you've fought for this for 2 years, and we sent you out there to Belgium because of our allegiance with Belgium, and we were going to, you know, support Belgium's neutrality. So we've come in and we're going to fight for the Belgians to do that. But now we're going to give up that final corner of Belgium. I don't know what message that would have sent. And so I think as much as anything, that's part of it, right? Pride, or whatever you want to call it. That's a big part of it. Yeah. Anyway, look, that's my kind of freestyle thoughts on it, I guess. Joe, no worries. Not an official match, but yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there was definitely football played, right? You know, in various areas along the Truce. I've been to that site that I'm talking about with Marcel there, so yeah, there was certainly football played, you know, all along different points of the Christmas truces. Yeah, sometimes you hear suggestions of almost like an organised game, and they kept score and stuff like that. And in reality, I think that's very unlikely. I imagine we were talking like kickabouts. The Sainsbury's Christmas advert, man. There you go. That's it. I would welcome a video on my own YouTube channel. Okay. Right, yeah, man, of course you can, right? Yeah. Look, I make a point on my videos, right? I don't claim to be an expert. I'm not like a big military historian. I talk about what I know, and I like to share the places that I've been or the places I go to, and I'm quite open about talking about stuff I don't know much about. You know, I did a whole series on the Battle of Britain, which was an area which I really didn't know that much about at all. But, you know, I do a lot of research so that when I'm talking, I at least feel like I know some of what I'm talking about, you know, and I'm not afraid to tackle new topics that I don't really know much about. And I might make the occasional mistake. But, you know, I do that because I want to learn new things. And I'm not afraid to go out there and talk about a topic that I've only just learned, because my whole point is I'm sharing stuff as I go, and some things I do know very well, right? I know probably a lot of stuff about the Somme and the areas around there inside and out, but there are other topics I don't know as much about, and that's totally fine. You know, I'm cool talking about those as I go as well. Yeah, okay, BL. It's not really quite like that, but yeah. Swamp Muskie, I like your content. Thank you, man. I've got family that fought in France. Awesome. Cool, man. Yeah, look, I appreciate it, right? Look, I'm very passionate about a lot of those stories and a lot of those topics, right? And I really enjoy sharing them and talking about them, and that's the whole idea. Absolutely. Right. Cool. Right, guys, I think we're pretty much near enough there. If anyone had any desperate pressing questions, now's the time to ping it into the chat, but I think we'll probably round off in like another minute or two. Really enjoyed this, just doing a little bit of a live stream. Try and keep these going more often. Maybe we do a monthly live stream, perhaps. If you're watching this later or afterwards, let me know in the comments. Should we do a monthly live stream? Perhaps that's a thing that we can get going. I want to try and do a few more live streams where I get other people on with me as well. Been quite lucky. I've had some great guys on the live streams. In fact, I think we've had pretty much all the history YouTubers that I know have been on one of my live streams. We've had Marcel, History War Cinema, is in the comments there. We've had Sander, who was in there earlier. Chris, Vlogging Through History, has been on. JD's been on with me. So I'll try and get some of those guys on again at some point, and maybe some other new people as well. Maybe people who I haven't had on the channel before might be willing to come on and have a chat with me. Try and get people who come on a little bit, who know a bit more than me, because that's always interesting. Not interesting then. Loafer, not gonna buy you a pint using this platform. They take too much percentage cut. Okay, man. Yeah, they do a little bit. Yeah. You're gonna buy me a coffee. Cool, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's kind of you. You're touched on my videos. Thank you. Keep going. You're enjoying it. Thank you, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, Loafer's kind of talking about. So there are different ways people can support the channel, right? And you know, you can support the channel by so some people would do like donations through comments on YouTube, and I've had a few people who've done that, which is, I mean, it's amazing. It's blown me away. But then YouTube do take a cut of that, right? And there's you can do a thing called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can donate through Buy Me a Coffee, and the links in the description for that, which is slightly different. And then Patreon as well. If ever anyone does want to support the channel, and look, you know, I certainly don't feel like anybody has got an obligation to do that. You guys watch my content, you engage, you comment, you like, you do all that stuff, which helps me out massively. But if you do ever want to support the channel, the Patreon link is in the description to all of my videos, including this live stream, and that's probably the easiest place. You can do like a one-off donation. But I do have it. So, for example, you're asking about a PayPal email, Ben. Thank you so much, and Ben, I appreciate that. But again, Patreon is the best place to find stuff like that. You can do one-off donations through there as well. But you know, look, I appreciate anything like that. I'm certainly not, you know, wanting to try and push anybody to do that. Look, I'm so grateful for the support. I have some amazing people who currently support me on Patreon, and I'm so grateful for it, because it helps me out loads, and loads. And some people are really generous over there, and that's really cool. Helps me to carry on making these videos as much as I possibly can, because believe it or not, with 15,000 subscribers, you don't make that much money through YouTube. In fact, you hardly make any money at all. So I fund everything I do myself, you know, all my travel costs, you know, everything really. YouTube is cool, and it's great that you can, you know, that people can make a living from YouTube. I think that's amazing. But a channel with 15,000 subscribers, it doesn't make anybody a living, unfortunately. So it's you know, that kind of support is just amazing, and I'm blown away that people would want to support me and enjoy my stuff that much. Thank you very much. Cool. Right, guys, I think that probably just about rounds us off. Thank you very much for watching. We'll try and do another one of these live streams fairly soon. Swamp Muskie, sorry for your question. Traveling to the Italian-Australian border. Yeah, but I would love to get out to Italy and do some content down there. World War II content, as well as some World War I stuff. There's so much in Europe, right? I'd love to get to Gallipoli at some point. There's so many places I want to go. I just need the ability to get out there, and when funds allow, I will get out to places like that. Hang tough, hello, man. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Right, guys, I think that probably just about rounds us off. I appreciate all of you guys watching. I appreciate your comments and your likes and your engaging in the chat. If you haven't already hit the like button on my live stream, I'd appreciate it if you would, because that would just help me out. It helps it helps YouTube to think that my live stream was half decent, and then it might promote it to a couple of other people to watch it as a video later. Right, guys, I've been waffling on for too long. Enjoy your evenings. Happy VE Day. Go and watch my latest video, which came out about half an hour before this live stream, if you haven't already, and I will see all of you guys on a video very, very soon. Right, now I just have to work out how to end this live stream, which we do here. Am I sure I want to stop streaming? Yes, I do. Guys, cheers. See you soon.